The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Johnny was an Irish immigrant. He came to the United States at a very young age and contributed by giving his life, if you will, to his country by serving in World War II. Jimmy, this Irish immigrant, served in World War II, and sadly, at one point in the midst of the war, he was captured and sent to a German prison camp. Again, it just shows you the wonder and the gift it is for us to have immigrants, right? He contributed and served us so well. Well, Johnny, anyways, was in the worst German concentration camp, filled with lice and lack of food, and it was just a horrible place, as you can imagine. It was a prison camp for U.S. soldiers and British soldiers. And the only thing that separated the Americans from the Brits was just this barbed wire fence. And everything else were just sheer walls and armed guards. And they were treated so poorly by the German soldiers. Well, one night, Johnny went to bed, and he would write in his memoirs that you never really slept in a prison camp. It wasn't a sound sleep. But about 4 a.m, one of his fellow soldiers woke him up and said, "You need to go to the barbed wire fence. There's an Irishman there, Patrick." Of course, they're all named Patrick, right? Patrick's at the barbed wire fence. He was an Irish soldier, a British soldier, and he wants to tell us some news, but he'll only say it in Gaelic, so the Germans can't hear. So Johnny bounces out of bed, goes up to the wire, and Patrick informed him that he has received news from the BBC. He had this underground radio stashed away, hidden away in the Brits' prison camp. Patrick said in Gaelic some very powerful words to Johnny. 3 common words. Patrick said, "They have come. They have come." It was D-Day, the invasion onto the beaches of Normandy. And right then, Johnny, this U.S. soldier, this Irish immigrant, was just filled with joy, even though he was still surrounded by oppression, dirt, and just horrible conditions, but his heart just sang with joy, and he couldn't keep the news to himself. So he started spreading around throughout the camp the good news. They have come. Immediately, as the other soldiers began to hear those words, their hearts began to spring with joy, laughter, rolling on the ground. It was even said that soldiers began to jitterbug together. You're all too young to remember the jitterbug, but my grandmother taught me that dance. I'm pretty good at it, by the way. And the German soldiers could not comprehend how in this place of misery and oppression, these soldiers could dance for joy. They thought these soldiers had lost it. How could they be filled with joy living in such misery? But when you know that liberation is near, your heart can sing with joy. Even when you're living with suffering and difficulty, and whatever you're facing at that moment, knowing that liberation is near, your heart can sing, your life can sing with joy. This new year that we're beginning, this Christmas season, this ancient feast of Mary, the Mother of God, the God-bearer, with everything, above everything that we've been through, horrible losses, death, the scourge of racism, political unrest, and just hatred, a speech that's been filled with hatred. All the trials and tribulations of isolation. And then again, as we confront a new year with its challenges and its uncertainties, this Christmas season, today's feast offers us good news. And I want to give you that good news. Jesus has come. Jesus is here. God is with us. Emmanuel. Yes, we are still living with challenges and losses. We are mourning. Yet our hearts can sing with joy in knowing that our liberation, our new life, we can hope, we can dream as we love our God and one another. And we see this so well in today's gospel when we are told that Mary pondered all these things in her heart. She pondered all those things that had broken her heart. Of living in a family in the midst of extreme poverty, being a refugee, under the threats of violence. Her heart was broken. But it was also a heart that pondered that liberation was near. She could sing the joy of a God who is with us. She could dare to hope and dream for the renewal of life and all that is good. Today's gospel ends with that moment in which, at the circumcision, Jesus is given his name, Jesus. None of you remember, unless you are a convert to the faith. But in the baptismal ritual, there's a moment where the priest or the deacon claims you for Jesus Christ by making the sign of the cross with his thumb upon your forehead. And then we ask your parents, your godparents, everyone who's at your baptism to mark the sign of the cross on your forehead. It claims you for Jesus Christ at that very moment. In many ways, it names who you are, Christian. I believe. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we constantly remembered that that is upon our forehead, for it is. We should probably have it tattooed on our forehead, Jesus. Because the reality is, you belong to Jesus. And the good news, with all the things we're facing, and all the challenges and uncertainties as we begin this new year, even with the hope, Jesus is never going to let you go. He has claimed you. Jesus has named you. You are Christian. You, all of us, are God's people. And God has us. And God will not let us go.